Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to 3.1 lesson and units 3, lesson 1. So we are going to begin with our CSS selectors. This is what this unit is all about in this particular lesson. We are going to begin with our do now. Please open up the pop code linked in your Google Classroom. You are going to open it up. It should look something like this. You may have a different dog picture, but what you're going to do is open it up, go to the CSS box, change the 200px online to 20px, and see what happens. What stayed the same and what changed, all right? Please pause the video now and go ahead and try that pop code. All right, you should have tried the pop code by this point. So now let's go on together to check our pop code. All right, so when you open up this pop code, we zoomed in just a little bit, but on the left-hand side here, it shows. So it should look something like this. Again, your picture may be different on the right-hand side, but your job was to go to line 2 and change this 20px to 200px to 20px, all right? We did that. What happened here? Uh-oh, it got super, super tiny. So that's something that you should recognize, that when you change your pixels, right, the bigger it is, the bigger the number, the bigger the picture is going to be. The smaller the number, the smaller the picture is going to be. So let's get into our lesson today. All right, so we are going to keep it going. This is our awesome objective for today. Coders will select an HTML element and change its style using CSS. Our vocabulary today is style, CSS, selector, property, value, and rule. Do you recognize this website? Does this website look familiar to you? The name is there, so it should look a little familiar. But if you guessed Amazon, you were correct. So as you can see, these two websites are actually the same. The difference is the styling, right? We have some pictures, we have some fonts, we have some awesome things, some links going on, which we have in our picture on the right as well, but it looks so much more creative, right? And so today we're going to be learning a new language. Some of you may know, clearly I'm speaking in English, so most of us should know some English, some Spanish, maybe some Tagalog. There's so many different languages, right? And so we are going to actually learn a language called CSS style. It's called CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets, but it gives website style. So as you can see, all of these websites on your right-hand side have different pictures, we have some color, we have different fonts, we have some background images, we have some amazing things going on here. And that is because of CSS. Again, styles include color, spacing, fonts, placement, different animations, and so much more. All of that can be controlled in the CSS. So go ahead and take a few seconds. And why is it important for websites to have style? Go ahead and think why. Why would it be important for websites to have style? So again, HTML, they give us that kind of content and that structure. If you look at this, what is this animal called? It is called a dinosaur. A dinosaur. The skeletal bone, the skeletal structure is there, right? But when you add some CSS to it, it tells the website that what it's really supposed to look like. It gives it more character, more features, some depth, right? And so again, using your guided notes, some of these things will be on there. So what does it look like in actual code, right? Here's an example of what the code would look like. So we select the HTML elements we want to style in CSS. So CSS and HTML are really buddies. They work really well together. When you open pop code, if you notice in our pop code, there's a region up top, which is the HTML, which shows here, and then the CSS. So if we go back to our example here, we were able to see the HTML here and then our CSS here, okay? So And if you see the page and it just looks like that, you can actually click down here, move that around. We can click here for CSS. All right, beautiful folks. We are going to be able to write some CSS rules. Before we get there though, there's a few things we need to know. So the first being the equal sign. You need to recognize all of these syntax on a keyboard. This is particularly for a Mac computer. Equal sign. You're going to need these quotations, these angle brackets, and this slash here. And we're also going to use something called curly brackets, which is going to be right here. We're also going to use the semicolon, which is in this region here. And we are going to use these other colons, just a colon, which is up here. This is what it looks like on a Chromebook, which most of you are probably going to be using. The curly brackets are here. And so CSS, how do we write CSS? First, we want to start with a selector. It's the part of the page we want to change. When we name our selector, which is H1 in this case, that means that every H1 on the web page will be affected, okay? So next, we're going to pick the property. The property is going to show up here in blue. And if we want to change the color, change the text color, our property is going to simply be color. And last, we're going to add our value, right? So our value here, if you noticed, we had our selector first, and then we use these curly brackets. We use those curly brackets. We added our property. We used a colon, and now we can name it any color. In this case, I'm going to choose green. Green is here, and you're going to put your semicolons here, all right? And now it is complete. So every H1, the color of the text, is now going to be green. So again, your selector is going to go up here. You need your opening and closing brackets. Your color is your property. You need your colon here, your value, and your semicolon. So imagine you want all H1 tags to appear in blue. What are the 3 parts of the CSS rule? And again, your rule is this entire section of code. So H1, what would H1 represent? Let me give you some think time. If you said, So, yeah, H1 should be your what? What should it be? Selector. If you said selector, you're correct. Color should be your what? Your property. If you said property, you're correct. And blue is our value. It's our value. All right. So what selector would I use to change what's up to yellow? Look at our code. Where do we see what's up? I see it on this line right here. And my selector here, if I wanted to select this whole line of code, I would choose H2. So H2 would go right here. Which selector would I use to change hello? So I'm going to look at our code again. Hello is going to be right here. So I see P. P is my selector. What is the property? We're changing it up now. What is the property in this rule? What is the property in this rule? So we have P, color, and green. What's the property here? If you said color, you are correct. What is the value in this rule? The value. If you said green, you are correct. What does this rule do? So let's read our rule, right? We have H1 color purple. H1 is our selector. Color is our property. And purple is our value. So this is telling me the H1, whatever is H1 in our code, in this case, it is the word hey. The word hey, the color of that text is going to change to purple. Now let's do some guided practice together. We are going to go in here. Actually, I'm going to click into this. And let's read those directions. It's kind of hard to read because my face is in the way, huh? But, okay, so let's look at this together. 3.1 CSS, the hidden message. Decode the hidden message by just changing the CSS values for each HTML element and without changing the HTML. So what we need to do, we have these two sections, right? We talked about this being the HTML and this section here being the CSS. I'm going to make this just a tad bit narrow. All right, so what you can do is always close this here because that is going to be our directions. We know what we're supposed to do. And I am again going to move my beautiful face. Wow, it's going to make me even bigger. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. This is what we are going to do. We're going to stretch this over here. And for this case, right now, we're going to move me over here. All right, so we have our sections, right? Our HTML and our CSS. We want to decode this message. So to do that, you are going to use all the wonderful work we just learned. If we look in our body, there's a lot of different selectors here. I see H1, P, H2, I see P again, H3, P again, H4, P, H5, and P. So we're going to need to be able to, right now, we have a hidden message and we cannot see anything, right? Nothing. So let's try something, okay? Shall we? Let's try our first selector. I'm going to start with the first one that's here in our body, which is H1 and hidden message, okay? Hidden message. So let us try our H1. And then you want to put your curly brackets, right? And I love to put my curly brackets right away. And we want to make sure that our code is clean. So if we go back here, what does our clean code look like? Clean code looks just like this. So you have your selector, your first curly bracket, some code, and then your closing curly bracket. So back to here, you're going to open it up and just like that, okay? And let's write our code. So what color are we going to go with? Let's think. Let's see. Let's go with maybe, so we can show up. What color do you all think? Let's go with white. So I'm going to, color is my property, put my colons there and white. And don't forget to end it with a semicolon. So right now, the H1 is hidden message. Perfect. I can see it. It's showing up. Excellent. So next, I have P. So if I put P here, and let's opening and closing brackets. And I'm going to press enter twice so that I can go right here. And what you can do is, again, you need to write color, right, which is our property color, colon. And let's choose a different color. Let's choose green. Green and colon. Uh-oh. It says the colon at the end of this line does not belong here. It tells me on line 5. Uh-oh. Instead of colon, I am supposed to be putting a semicolon here. So let me put that semicolon. Bam. All right. So now some things are filled in. It's looking pretty good. Next here I have H2. Okay, so I'm going to select H2. Doing my opening and closing curly brackets. And I need color again. And let's go with green again. Why not? All right. So far it reads, hidden message. I have gotten a blank. Okay. Let's pop this out and see. So this is so far what we're looking like. Okay, not too bad. So if we, after H2, I see H3 here. Excuse me, after H2, I see P tag. So I'm going to go to P. But remember, I already have P here. Do I need a P again? Do I need to select P again and change the color again? I want to give you some think time. What do y'all think? The answer is no. Remember, we talked about whenever we select one selector here, for example, P, and you see it multiple places, you select P one time and it's going to affect every P in this code. So for example, P says I may shows up green here. The next P says 10A. If you look at our code, 10A is already here, right? TENA is already green. The next one says E space 4 space ever, right? E space 4 space ever already shows up. So luckily, P is already selected. So we don't need to select P again. After H2, we can go straight to H3. And opening and closing brackets. And H3 is going to be here. And why don't we color? Why don't we do red this time? Red be a little different, you know? All right, so let's look at what we have. Uh-oh. It didn't show up, right? Our H3 text did not show up. Why do we think that is? Well, if we said red and we put the color red, it's a red block here already, and we want the color to be red. That means it won't show up, right? Just like if we change the color, maybe let's try a different color. Let's try black. See. All right. So let's make sure everything is showing up here, right? I'm going to go pretty quickly and go through the rest of our text. Let's see. All right. So black didn't show up either because our background was black. So I went in here and changed it to white, and look what shows up. We have white text on our red background. All right, fantastic. So let's keep going. After H3 is our P tag, again, already selected, so we can go to our H4 tag. H4, which is our selector, opening and closing brackets, enter twice, and we're gonna go straight into here. H4. And let's not make the same mistake we did before. So it's already white, so we need to choose a new color. This time, if we wanted to choose red, we can. All right, so perfect. Red shows up. And after H4, we have H5. That is our final tag. So we can decode the hidden message. All right. And enter twice. See. Our color is going to be orange. See if that works. Uh-oh. You have to spell orange correct first. It works. So if we pop this out, our full text should say, uh-oh, I hope you all can read that. Hope you all can read it, but it should say, I may have gotten a special prize for everyone who can decode this message. All right. So what you're going to do now is you are going to independent practice. You're going to take 15 minutes. You can either, for the mild section, oh, now this wants to move around. All good. You can either change the color of text, go back to an old pop code assignment. You can change the color of your text, change the image size. For mild, for medium, you can change the background color. Can you enter all of the text? Can you center, all of the text? Or spicy, can you add a background image? So that is what you're going to do for your pop code. You're going to submit this on Google Classroom. And after that 15 minutes, you are going to you're going to create a snapshot, clicking here, open up the assignment in Google Classroom. You're going to, create a snapshot. Make sure to copy the snapshot, okay? Create it and you're going to copy it. Go ahead and open up the assignment in Google Classroom. Add the link. You're going to see add here and click on link. You're going to paste that link there. And you're going to turn it in. Please make sure you click turn it in. And you also need to complete this exit ticket, all right? So you're going to do that also in Google Classroom. Here's the first question. the second question, the third question, and the fourth question, okay? These are all in Google Classroom. Have fun, and I hope that helps.